the product.
I bet you do. You're just being.
Well, could Google. I'll send it to you later.
It doesn't
You can
matter.
add it in post.
Sure. So we'll come back for the second interview because some people will dying to know. All right. So you get through college, and the entrepreneur in you decides to come back to Chicago, because we got to fast forward ahead, because we're going to people. I can hear the radios turning off from this interview if we don't move it forward.
That's the sound of a million iPhones shutting off the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Speak. I studied entrepreneurship in Indiana. I went to the business school, and entrepreneurship was like the easiest course to do within the management program.
Really?
It was new at the time, yeah. And I remember our professor saying on day one, he's like, the A students, they're all going to get jobs in academia. The B students, you guys will go into the big 6 firms. And the C students, you guys are all here in the entrepreneurship program.
No, those other kids will come work for you.
Yeah, and the other kids will come.
Do you remember that professor's name?
Yes,
you do.
Professor Gary Dollinger.
So I was thinking, you remember Bobby Knight's name, but none of your professors' names.
No, Gary Dollinger that was his name, I believe. Great guy. And so after college, I went and worked in South Africa again. Went back there for a few months and worked as a glorified intern, which really meant I got to wear a nice suit and do nothing. And then after being bored one day, I went and I went and decided I wanted to go visit some of the companies within our portfolio. And one of them was a food company.
Is that true? I didn't know this part of the story.
Well,
See, I'm learning something.
Learn something new every day.
What was that company?
It was called Pieman's Pantry. It was in Krugersdorp, which was about an hour from where I lived in Johannesburg. And I was really obsessed with. They used to make 1 million meat pies a day at this factory, meat pies are kind of like donuts in Southern Africa. In terms of where they fit in the market spectrum. When you're a factory worker goes on break, they have a meat pie. When your mother picks you up from soccer practice, she'll bring you a meat pie. It's kind of like how it fits. It's a little fresh baked pastry.
I get it only because I've had them before, but
right.
Thinking of, as an American, the culture.
Right. So they have these meat pie shops, and they're at every convenience store and supermarket. And we used to make all the meat pies for those. They would be frozen and they'd be baked fresh. They'd look like some old lady was in the back rolling the dough. So it really was a great product. And I saw this and I said, all I knew how to do in business school was write a business plan. So I wrote a business plan
for the meat pies.
For the meat pies, and I presented it to my boss, and he was like, "You know what? That's a great idea. Why don't you go and open that in New York?" And I said, "Well, I'm not from New York. I'm from Chicago." So we cut a long story short. We opened one of these stores in Chicago. It was a comedy of errors from the word go. I didn't know shit about the restaurant business, let alone business, frankly, and.
You learned, I know.
But one of the people I met during that process became my mentor and my partner in my next venture, which was Salad Spinners.
Right.
And that I opened in 2000.
Everybody knows Salad Spinners. I'm telling you, everybody I talk to say, I'm Richard Levy's my brother-in-law.
Right.
Big Richard Levy? No. The one who had the Salad Spinners, Richard Levy. And it's like
really?
Part of loop culture of that era. I'm telling you.
Yeah, if you ate a salad between the years 2000 and 2009,
it was from Salad
in
Spinners.
The Loop in Chicago, there's a decent chance, maybe 1 in 10.
Don't be humble. Everybody knew Salad Spinners.
Right.
Where did that idea come from? I mean, all right, so the meat pies didn't work out. I mean, if you'd asked me when I would say, Rich, meat pies.
My partner Joel, who was the guy that became my mentor, he was involved in a chicken concept that was selling more salads than chicken. So he wanted to spin off the salad division.
This was like before salads were like so mainstream. I mean, you sort of had at the time with the salad for lunch.
True. So right? he'd essentially knocked off the salad menu at Cheesecake Factory. I think he got inspired by the salad menu at Cheesecake Factory. He said, "Let's do a couple." of these.
That's my favorite restaurant.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Did you know that? Seriously,
it's a great product. Great product. It hits the spot every time. Always delivers.
Where can you go to have that much choice on a menu? It's unbelievable.
And have cheesecake.
I don't like cheesecake. I was passing on cheesecake, but I can. They got great salads too.
So Joel, he was like, he wanted to do the salad concept. He's like, this would be great in the Loop, just salads. And so we started together. I borrowed the last 40 grand I could from my dad, and he put in the rest. And I was the junior partner, and he was the senior partner. And by the time I shut my mouth and started listening to him and learned from him, it was a really good decision, you know? And that's
At
how
its
I
heyday,
started.
there were like 2 or 3 locations, right?
We had 4 at one point. We actually built 6, but 2 of them got demolished. So oddly enough, in buildings in the Loop, one of the best things, if you're ever going to go into retail, okay, what I can tell you is always look for a demo clause in your lease. If the landlord decides to destroy the building, make sure they pay you. Because you can put a couple $100,000 into a leasehold improvement.
Yeah.
And then the landlord decides, you know what, I'm selling this building and I'm going to demolish it, and good luck to you. I can break your lease. So that was a great lesson I learned as a youngster. But anyway, a year after we started, we opened 2 together, Joel and I, and then he got a great job working abroad, and he asked me to buy him out, and I bought him out, and I was this 24, 25-year-old kid.
Head tomato.
With 2 stores, and I thought I had it made in the shade, you know?
But Loop business is tough. I mean, no one's just eating lunch.
A lot of things are tough. Show me a business that's easy.
All right, that's fair. But
There's
I mean,
no
I'm just
business-
thinking about the challenges of
People
serving
always
food in the
say
Loop.
people always say the restaurant business is so tough. I don't know any business that's easy. Okay, like you can every business is
Podcasting,
hard.
I mean,
Podcasting's hard. Okay,
That's
it's tough.
true. No one's.
You know, it's not easy. You can
Yeah, but they say like don't do something like the mailman could do. Like the mailman could like be a podcaster.
probably hard to be a mailman. It's probably hard to get a job as a mailman. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Fair.
Okay, so we do the tough things because they're there to be done. You know, the mountain's there to be climbed. And so it's a different kind of crazy to be an entrepreneur. You have to be able to work 4 years sometimes for no money. In fact, sometimes costing you money.
Sure.
Okay, burning your savings down to nothing. And you have to have the knuckle, the strength, the testicular fortitude to hold on when all other logic says give up.
See right there. That's gonna go viral. That speech. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I got
more.
more like that.
Good, because we got 10 more minutes before Tom kicks us out of here.
Okay.
All right, so fast forward to so Salad Spinners is no more. And we're
Yeah,
on to your next venture. Or we could fast forward to Butter and Vine, which is
Sure,
which
what
is
I
really
do
the most
now,
exciting
so-
one, I think.
What I do now is a much better business for someone like myself, which is it's you know, when you're in the Loop, you said the Loop's hard. I'll tell you what was the toughest part of the Loop, having a retail business in the Loop, is you only had 5 days a week and 2 hours. So you have 10 hours a week
To make money.
Now, if you get a rainstorm or a blizzard,
Forget
the
it.
week's screwed. So you can try and plan. You can say, hey, we're going to serve 300, 400 people today. But if there's a rainstorm, you're down to 150, and good luck. You still got to pay your rent and your electric bill and all that stuff. So it wasn't very manageable. That was the part that I used to hate about it. What I do now is we do weddings and corporate events, which is great because you're getting paid usually 6 to 12 months in advance for an event. You know how many people to cater for. You know exactly where it's going to be. It's going to happen rain or shine.
Right.
You know what your revenue is. It's a much better business and a much more manageable business.
So you had to go through all that to get there, though, right? It's all part of the journey.
Correct.
How many months out to book you? Did you say?
Well, you could book us. I mean, we could really, do a wedding next week if we
I
had
know you
to.
say that, but you're just being like.
No, we could. So you could. So the hard part about doing a wedding is making sure that you have the staffing and the location, and the bride's got to get her dress, and there's a lot of moving
logistics,
parts.
sure.
But in terms of the caterers, from the caterer's standpoint, we can produce a wedding. Like we've done a big party for 100+ people
On short notice.
On short notice, it's doable as long as we're not doing 16 other things that week or whatever, 5 other things that week. If we have the staff to do it, we can do it,
And you do.
and we do.
People said nobody wants to work anymore. How do you find staff?
It's tough. I think that the sooner everybody realizes that the price of everything's doubled, okay, and that includes labor, that includes
Everything.
pretty much everything's 50 to 100% more than it was. If you've been out to dinner lately as a family, you're paying double what you did 2 years ago. Okay, and I don't know why anyone's shocked. The rules of economics are still apply. If you print money, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So if as long as you pay people $18 to $22 an hour, which 5 years ago you could get away paying people 12 to 14 an hour. No one's going to work for that in Chicago, even though the minimum wage is 15. So everything's just gone up.
Yeah.
And it's never going to come down.
You don't think?
And no, it'll never. No, because you can't say to someone that you're now paying $18 an hour, hey,
Sorry.
would you mind to
Reel
go
it
down
in,
to
buddy.
15 and keep your job? It's not going to happen.
thanks.
Now, if there's a major economic downturn and everything collapses and somebody comes back and says, look, now the new market rate is 15, that could happen. But not in the same company, not in the same job. That ain't going to. People's wages only go up as long as there's a going concern.
You're like C-SPAN now. It's fascinating.
Yes.
Fascinating.
We've covered a lot of
MSNBC.
topics. We've covered a lot of topics.
So you've said it all, right?
You're listening to Stern these days?
I don't listen to
Did you
Stern.
see the Springsteen interview?
Someone mentioned it to me, and I don't get
was good.
Springsteen. I talked about this last time about Springsteen. It's just I don't get it. I'm surprised
You
that
don't
you
get
do.
Springsteen?
Yeah, because you're not from this country, and you seem to understand Springsteen for some reason, which I think is
Springsteen's
terrible.
amazing.
Come on, do you really believe that?
Yeah, Springsteen's. Have you ever seen him?
No.
Okay, well, go to a Springsteen show.
Why?
Why?
Pass. I'll pass on that one.
The man is the hardest working man in show
It is-
business. He performs for 3 hours straight. Watch the Stern interview. I haven't
No.
watched Stern in a long time.
Because this is better. Who wouldn't want to listen to Stern? You can listen to
This
this,
is a lot better.
right?
But he became too political.
Stern, he's still on the radio, still interviewing Bruce Springsteen. He's done that like 10 times before.
Well, I wanted to. I mean, Baba Booey finally got him. Which
Even if I was listening to Stern, I wouldn't have listened to that.
Really?
I don't care. I don't get crazy, right? I just don't get it. I was thinking about this last night because I went to see a concert last night.
Right.
I saw
What'd you see?
I saw The Smile. I bet you have no clue who that is.
No.
It's the guitarist from Radiohead, Tom York, and Johnny Greenwood. And it was all like little middle-aged white dudes. I'm surprised I didn't see you there. But I was thinking about Springsteen. I said, would these be the same people that would go to a Springsteen concert? I don't know if they would. Because I thought everyone there probably has better taste in music than Bruce Springsteen. And that's just how I feel. I just don't get it. And no one did explain it to me. Everyone said, well, he's the hardest working man in show business and blah, 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 blah. But like, okay, Thunder Road, then what?
Oh, the man has a catalog very deep, and he's got a new album out where he covers a lot of Motown songs.
Nah,
It's phenomenal.
pass.
This segues probably nicely into my theory about, I minored in history of rock music. In
Did you
college.
really?
Well, not really, but
Parents paid for that.
You had to take.
Wait a minute. You majored in the history of rock and roll, and you was talking about Bruce Springsteen, and you're carrying on about him?
Well, I'm going somewhere with this. So Indiana had a great business school and a great music school. So if you took elective classes,
So they
at the
bring in like
music
John Cougar Mellencamp as here,
He's
come
a
teach the
local boy,
class.
done good, yeah. But so what happened was you would take these elective classes that were taught by these really talented music professors, like geniuses.
Come on.
So, yeah, they knew everything about music theory, and and you're a piano player, you understand. So there was this professor named Glenn Gass, which everybody loved him. Everyone took his class. But one of the theories it hit me like a thunderbolt back then is that if you think of the top 5 or 10 most commercially successful bands of all time.
I know where you're going because we had this conversation before, but it's
Yes,
interesting.
you've heard
Go.
me.
Yeah.
But I feel like the studio audience would
They're
like to hear it.
bated breath. Every word is
Okay.
more interesting than the next.
So if you think of the top 5 greatest bands commercially successful,
Okay.
I don't mean the band you like or the obscure band I like.
Fair enough.
That everyone will agree. That's the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, the Who,
See, the Stones, I feel
U2,
this.
the Police. The Stones have commercially sold. They've been around for almost 70 years.
So what?
Okay, they're far more successful and they've sold more records than Radiohead. Here's the litmus test.
Fine.
If they were playing in Soldier Field tonight in December, people would go and stand in the cold, in the rain, and they'd sell out.
To
okay?
a Rolling Stone concert?
I'm going somewhere with this.
Hurry it up.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Tom is getting bored. You can kick us out of here.
So you talk about the top 10 bands of all time, and then on the other hand, the top 10 individual artists, icons.
Sure.
of all time.
Okay.
From Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, through to Madonna.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
What do the bands have in common? What do the individual artists have in common?
I don't know.
It isn't what you think. And this was something I came up with.
This is what
back
you
in
learned.
Indiana.
This was your theory.
This was a theory I've
you
been
didn't learn this
meaning
from
to
Professor
write, and
Glenn.
now it's my chance
Okay.
to tell the world about it.
4 people are going to listen. Told you that.
The bands are all English. The icons are all American.
All
And
right.
if you think
That's
of
true.
if you think of the inverse of that, what's the most commercially successful British icon of all time?
Of all time?
Maybe it's Elton John, maybe it's David Bowie, and these are talented musicians. Okay, maybe it's Amy Winehouse, all
Paul
right?
McCartney, I'm sure.
Paul McCartney, immediate disqualification
Why?
because he's a Beatle.
Okay.
He's a Beatle. He's made his fame through the Beatles. Sting is very popular, but he was part of the Police. Okay, so here's my point.
Hurry it up.
If you're a kid with talent,
Okay.
and it matters, and it matters where you are in terms of what you do. If you live in
You're like Malcolm Gladwell of
yeah,
rock and roll.
if you live in the United States and you
Right.
can perform,
Okay.
the best thing you can do is call yourself first name, last name, and the blank. The David Matthews Band.
I knew you were going to
Bruce
go to Dave Matthews.
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Okay.
Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Okay, it matters. It matters what you do. Now your band.
Where does that come from then? What's
Bon
what?
Jovi, I don't know. It's in my head. It's
No,
craziness.
but you're probably there is
Right,
some
there's something to
something
it.
there.
Now, if you're British and you've got talent, the best thing you can do is find 3 or 4 other kids that walk like you, talk like you, dress like you, and have the same haircut as you,
It's interesting.
and and call yourself the something.
Why are you wasting time with catering? You need to write a book about this. What are you going to call this theory? Like,
I don't know. It's there's something to it, because there are definitely bands that I like that's no one heard of. There's bands you like that's no one's heard. But there's, in terms of commercial, successful, international fame, this theory is mostly infallible. Now I'll tell you
does
something
it not apply to
else.
like rap music? I'm trying to.
It does apply to rapper music. What are the rappers' names? Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
he's huge. It applies to reggae. Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Yeah, but after Bob Marley, then what? You know, it's like an anomaly.
There's plenty of reggae stars and reggae rap crossover stars that have first name, last name. The formula is first name, last name. If you're on
And
this
the band.
side of the pond,
Yeah.
if you're on that side of the pond, call yourself the something or a band name like U2. You can.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and you've got me stumped.
Yep, there you go. It's a thing. I can't really explain it.
You
I
need
don't
to
know
you should
what-
write. If Rolling Stone magazine is still around, you write an article and send it to them.
I think it has to do mainly with the fact that the world loves an American gunslinger, like a John Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, it's
One
a
guy
cultural
with
thing,
a guitar.
sure.
The
Elvis.
world loves a cowboy. Okay, and a cowboy or a cowgirl. Look at Madonna; she's huge.
I think Jimi Hendrix, though. I mean,
Jimi Hendrix is a fascinating. So there's some exceptions to the rule.
he's from Seattle.
He's American.
Yeah,
Where did he make his fame?
in London.
As the Jimi Hendrix
Experience.
Experience. Okay,
Yeah,
so he's a blend.
The Doors.
Now, here's the other thing. If you're an American and you're in a band and you die in your 20s, ideally of a drug overdose, like or a suicide like Kurt Cobain, your band goes from famous to
Transcending.
transcendent. Leonard Skinner.
Nah,
Good band, a great band.
Nah.
Everybody knows the opening line. You could hum "Sweet Home Alabama" in the backwoods of any town in the world.
Yeah, but I bet
And they know
anybody like under the age of 30 couldn't. Tom,
If
how
they
old are you?
know, if they know about who's that? If they know about what's his name who did the cover,
Oh, Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, Kid Rock is another
All
example.
right, so what are you going to do with this fascinating piece of
I don't know.
of cultural
It's just,
commentary
it
and rock and
makes
roll?
it makes for
It is a good conversation.
it makes for interesting dinner conversation. When things go quiet at a dinner, if
Put
you're
you in the
ever at
middle.
a dinner,
Yeah.
or if you're ever on, out to with a couple and there's nothing to talk about, bring this up. It'll kill at least 30 minutes.
I think we should at least go back to the mining of uranium in the South African mines, because I'm sure people would be rich. We want to know more about that and your worldview. But that is an interesting theory. There is something there.
There's something there. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either.
It's not fully fleshed out, but there is something there.
Because the band I saw, like, they're British, Radiohead.
Makes sense. Holds true. They're
Holds true.
band.
Yeah, I'm going to rack my brain waste my time thinking about bands.
Think of the greatest American bands, okay? And there's some great American bands.
Sure.
Phenomenal American bands, okay? They're still not, in terms of mega stardom. Okay?
Yeah.
They're still not, as like the Eagles are hugely popular, okay? You might not like them.
I don't.
But they're hugely popular, okay?
I guess.
Aerosmith, hugely popular.
Sure.
Bon Jovi, although it's the Bon Jovi band, okay? So my theory holds up.
I couldn't comment on that. Whatever.
They're still not anywhere near, in terms of commercial success, of the top 10 British bands. From Pink Floyd to
Oasis.
It holds up. Even the Spice Girls, hate to say it, hugely popular.
It's interesting. I wonder if someone in a Capitol Records or whatever is thinking about this. This is how we're going to be successful.
It's Gladwellian.
It is.
So
maybe Malcolm Gladwell will hear this.
If you can tell me how to make a nickel and a dime with this theory, I'll...
Well, you're not going to do it here on this podcast, because I told you no one's listening.
That should be the name of your podcast.
It was either going to be Nobody Cares.
Nobody Cares.
Nobody Cares, because no one really does care.
Who said that?
That was me. It's because when you get on doing these things, you're so worried about what you're going to say, how you're going to look, especially on your social media. But nobody cares. They only care about themselves.
But who gives a shit?
Nobody.
Right.
So why am I doing this then?
Well,
this isn't about me. We don't have to talk about that.
I mean, we could talk about it. What are you doing it for? What's your objective?
I don't know. I wrote in my notes I was going to talk about what I'm doing it for, and I don't know.